Welcome back everyone to part 2 of the Deus Ex Human Revolution Realism ranking. If you clicked on this before watching part 1, I highly recommend you go back and watch it since it would explain away some of the stuff that we're going to discuss today. But if you don't want to do that, here's a little chart on how we're going to be ranking each of the augments. So let's get on with the rankings. Starting with the Sentinel RX health system. The Sentinel RX health system provides biometrics, has a built-in defibrillator, and enhances the body's natural regeneration by sealing wounds and setting broken bones back to their intended place, as well as pumping the user with a cocktail of drugs like adrenaline and morphine in order to keep you alive when in critical condition. Despite seeming unrealistic at first, it's not that far-fetched for a system to monitor your vitals and inject you with the proper medicine on the fly. Assuming of course that the AI administering the treatment is advanced enough to diagnose you on the spot. But that's if we ignore the speed at which you recover from injury and take it simply as a gameplay mechanic, since in cutscenes,
high-end military-grade enhancements saved my life. The best augmentations Seraph's money could buy. Took me half a year to get a feel for them. Should have taken longer. But 6 months into my recovery, Seraph Industries was attacked again.
we see that it takes a long time for Adam to recover from severe injuries. Realism ranking, realistic. Next up, we've got the Seraph Series 8 energy converter. This augment turns your digestive system into a power generator, fueling your other augments. Well, that's exactly how our digestive system works normally, and there is precedent of stomach acid powering small batteries in order to keep a small thermometer and transmitter charged for up to a week. There is absolutely no way that eating a candy bar is going to give you enough energy to power up all of your replaced limbs and systems you have running at all times, let alone turn yourself invisible. I don't care how much cereal Adam downs each day, because unless he eats 20,000 calories a day, he's just going to flop over and die of starvation. Realism ranking, far-fetched. Though I will note that in Mankind Divided they did retcon the chocolate bar thing and replaced with actual energy cells, which would technically make this realistic on the second game, but not on this one. Moving on to the implanted rebreather, which filters out toxins and hyper-oxygenates the blood, allowing you to run faster and further without running out of breath. So it's an all-in-one gas mask, rebreather and oxygen tank implanted inside of your chest instead of being external. And as an added extra, it's a total nightmare to determine how realistic it actually is. The issue with this augment is that the science does check out, but there are a couple of issues with it, like artificial lungs having the tendency of causing blood clots on the patient and needing to be replaced regularly in order to prevent that from happening, which is not something that we see Adam doing. Could this technology evolve to the level that we see in game in half a decade? I highly doubt it, but you never know when a breakout innovation will pop up out of nowhere. But let's get this augment over with. My realism ranking is going to be far-fetched, mainly due to artificial lungs needing a good 10 to 20 years to be developed and approved for human use. And because strapping a gas mask in your throat isn't something that can realistically be done and remain as functional as a normal gas mask, since chemicals can still cause damage to your face and mouth before reaching your lungs. The next augment we're going to be ranking is the Typhoon explosive system. As described in-game, the Typhoon augmentation turns the user into a human fragmentation grenade, placing him or her at the center of a blast radius that inflicts a range sphere of damage on surrounding targets in all directions without focus or aim. This would be the perfect candidate for a war crimes tier, but it's honestly quite ineffective in terms of even modern cluster explosives like the DPICM. Told you I'm getting put on a watchlist due to this video. Outside of being ineffective and extremely dangerous to the user though, it can be done. It's just not a good idea to be used or developed, but hey, if it looks cool, then I guess you can't really argue with that now, can you? I can say with certainty that this weapon will not be developed, but it's not because the technology doesn't exist or that it's too sci-fi, but because there are simply better and more effective alternatives that put the user in way less danger. Realism ranking, realistic, in the sense that it can be done despite it being a very bad idea. The next augment in line is the Icarus landing system, which uses magnetic fields to do this. You know what? I for one think the name is quite fitting really, realistic even, because if you try and use this augment in real life, you will instantly plummet your fucking death just like Icarus did. Realism ranking, it's going in the well back here, to the surprise of nobody. So let's move to another augment, like the Quicksilver Reflex Booster, which increases your reaction time by sending electrical signals to your legs and arms faster than normal, allowing you to take down multiple enemies at the same time in hand-to-hand combat. Despite the description stating that this augment allows the user to react faster than normal, that is not reflected during gameplay. Considering that the result of using this augment is just taking down two people at the same time, which is something that an average person with some martial arts training could do without the use of external technology, I'd rank this one as realistic. Especially since it seems to just be a tune-up of the already existing arm and leg augments that Adam uses, instead of something that overall makes him superhuman. Realism ranking, I'd say it's realistic. The next augment on the list is the Glasskin Cloaking System. When activated, the Glasskin Cloaking System augmentation bends the light hitting the user, rendering him practically invisible. The effect will work on any wavelength that's part of the visual spectrum, including laser beams. To a limited degree, this technology already exists. To those unfamiliar, there are these plastic shields that can refract light hitting them in such a way that they can provide a form of invisibility in uniform backgrounds by stretching the light that hits them horizontally, effectively rendering vertical things behind them invisible. The Action Lab YouTube channel has a great video explaining how this works if you are still confused with my explanation. To get back on topic though, this is nowhere near the explanation that the game gives, which is that when activated, it generates a tuned fixed focus electromagnetic field that temporarily adjusts the frequency of EM radiation around the user. The net effect is a cloak of invisibility which appears near perfect. I'm honestly beginning to believe that the Deus Ex team has some major misconceptions about what magnetic fields can and cannot do. Because in this world, magnetic fields seem to be constantly breaking the rules of physics, either by changing the rules of inertia and gravity with the Icarus landing system, or now by bending light like they're black holes or something. While not as egregious as the Icarus augment, the way this is supposed to work is just impossible. Which leads us to the realism ranking of unrealistic, with the existence of the invisibility panel keeping it away from complete whaleboat status, and because achieving complete invisibility to the point where lasers can pass through you is most likely impossible. Next up, we've got the dermal body armor. Dermal armor works as a bulletproof vest, but instead of being on your outside, it's actually on your inside. To be more exact, it's implanted underneath your skin, lessening the damage of bullets and blunt force trauma. As crazy as it may sound, subdermal body armor isn't all that far-fetched for current technology. MatPat, may he rest in peace, even made a video about this topic 8 years ago explaining how in the Hitman movie, and yes there is a Hitman movie, subdermal body armor made from graphene could actually explain the villain's bulletproof skin. He also mentioned that the university was testing graphene armor strength at the time. Since I was curious, I decided to check up on those studies a decade later and see where they're currently at. And here are my findings. To start off with, the study mentioned the film theory video happened in 2014 by Rice University and determined that you could actually make scratch that, atom-thin body armor that could stop bullets moving faster than once, fired from an AK-47. The next study I found was from just about a year ago, and it talked about how graphene armor is evolving and is in fact viable as body armor. For example, some products like the Protec body armor utilize graphene in tandem with other materials in order to create a commercially available bulletproof vest. Graphene's atom-thin composition along with its light weight would be perfect for subdermal body armor like the one seen in-game, as it would barely, if at all, affect movement or weigh Adam down. This is extremely realistic. Of course, until we reach the EMP shielding upgrade to dermal armor, which is supposed to protect you from the effects of EMPs and other signals that would disrupt or fry your electronics, which in the case of Adam would be pretty damn severe. There is simply no way a layer of graphene could do that. Right? Well, actually no. It could 100% do that. The graphene, along with a layer of insulating material between it and the body, could easily create a Faraday cage that would block EMP charges and protect the user and their augments from the adverse effects of such devices. Landing this augment in realism ranking, realistic. Finally, let's move on to the legs and arms augments, starting with the cybernetic leg prosthesis, which mainly grants the user the ability to reach greater heights while jumping, with additional functionalities including enhanced jump range, greater sprint speed, and the ability to move without audible detection. For a start, prosthetic legs already exist, so let's see what makes these ones so special and determine whether or not they are realistic. The remaining and probably most unrealistic feature is their jump enhancer upgrade, which allows the user to reach insane heights of up to 3 meters or 9 feet for the American viewers, simply by jumping. Now, the world record for the highest jump is 2.45 meters or 8.5 feet, which is surprisingly not that far off from the 3-meter jump height that is mentioned in-game. Therefore, it still lands in the realm of realism that a cybernetic leg equipped with some jump enhancing technology could be able to achieve those heights. And as for what jump enhancing technology I'm referring to, the Michigan Robotics Lab is currently working on a leg brace / exoskeleton that has been shown to increase anyone's jump height by a couple of inches. Give this technology a couple of years and it's 100% possible. The next upgrade is the sprint enhancer, which allows Adam to run at speeds of up to 7.5 meters per second or 27 kilometers per hour, which is extremely fast. Especially for the average human, but it still falls shorter than professional sprinters like Usain Bolt, which mogs Adam with his 43 km per hour top speed, or Paralympians like Blake Leeper, who can reach speeds of up to 9.8 meters per second, or 35 km per hour while running with 2 prosthetic legs. Well, blades, which also make an appearance in game. So not only is this upgrade realistic, but it actually falls short in terms of peak human speeds. Finally, the last upgrade that can be applied to the legs is the run, sprint, and jump silently upgrade, which can easily be achieved by aerogel based shoes that greatly reduce noise to the point of being totally silent. And the best part about these is that they already exist, as fellow YouTuber JLaserVideo made a pair of silent shoes designed like the ones that Black Panther uses in the movies. So considering that 90% of this augment already exists to some degree, I am very tempted to place it in the already exists tab, but I will unfortunately have to place it a little bit lower since the jump enhancing tech isn't all the way there just yet, which is going to land this augment in realism ranking realistic, which isn't bad, but if this video was made a couple of years later, it would probably be placed in the already exists category. Actually, on second thought, I did say that the already exists category is for augments that exist even at a less effective or advanced level, so I guess this augment actually already does exist. Next up, for our second to last augment, we've got the aim stabilizer. This augment increases hand-eye coordination and helps with targeting when moving at high speeds. This augment connects directly to the brain, which once again falls in the same trap as the infalling fell into, which is that the technology for brain interfacing augments is decades if not hundreds of years away, meaning that this augment will land itself in the far-fetched category right next to its friend the infalling. Oh, and by the way, if the infalling sounds very similar to Neuralink, it's no coincidence. Elon Musk is a huge Deus Ex fanboy that probably sees himself as David Sarif despite being the closest thing we have to Bob Page. But anyway, let's move on to the final augment, that being the cybernetic arm prosthesis. This augment allows you to punch through weak walls, lift heavy objects, and reduces weapon recoil. All of these abilities seem quite realistic and achievable with all the technologies we've seen this far, and they actually are. So much so, in fact, that a company named Open Bionics, in collaboration with the Deus Ex team, has created a fully functional version of Adam's cybernetic arms which you can purchase and 3D print right now. Oh, and don't worry, I won't leave you on a trust me bro explanation on how these arms work. So let's go over the upgrades. The recoil compensation upgrade can simply be explained away by the arms either having shock absorbent material that would spread the force that the gun exerts on you, lessening the felt recoil, with the next thing that could affect it being the ability to basically lock the joints of the prosthetic arms, transferring the whole recoil force into your shoulders or back, essentially once again lessening felt recoil and giving you more stable aim. I'm no gun expert, so please feel free to correct me if I've made any mistake in my research this far. But moving on, the instant takedown and the carry weight upgrades don't really need much explanation. mainly because the takedown, as mentioned before, is simply martial arts skills put to use. But now they are done with robotic arms instead of normal arms. And the increased carry weight is probably a perk of having mechanized limbs that A. don't get tired, and B. were designed to be more load bearing. There is also precedent for such technology existing and being used. The Guardian XO full body exoskeleton, for example, increases the user's strength and allows them to carry up to 90 kilos or 200 pounds with ease, as the exoskeleton bears most of the weight. The 90 kilos the exoskeleton allows you to lift is also coincidentally just 20 kilos shy of Adam's max carry weight of 110 kilos, making this upgrade just that much more believable. Oh, and this also explains the lift and move heavy objects upgrades as well. Next up, we have one of the flashier upgrades on the list, the punch through walls upgrade, which allows you to straight up punch through weak concrete walls as if they were drywall or something. This might seem bizarre to some, but punching through concrete isn't as hard as it seems, especially if the wall is thin enough. In fact, I have personally witnessed somebody kick through a concrete wall and break it, so I know for a fact that a normal person can perform such feats. But I have scientific evidence, in case my personal anecdotes aren't enough to convince you. Considering that the concrete walls you punch through are considered weak or thin in-game, it is safe to assume that they would be near the fragility of the concrete blocks that are used by martial artists in their performances. Through a quick Google search, I determined that the newtons of force required to break through one of those blocks is around 2500 to 3000 newtons. It sounds like a lot, but the average force of an amateur boxer is actually around 2500 newtons. What this means is that with a bit of training, not only can you break through concrete, but you can actually do it without seriously harming your hands. Though I certainly don't recommend doing that unless you are planning a vacation to the nearest hospital. The people that can punch through walls are professionals and have trained on it, so don't try it at home. Of course. Taking that into consideration, it's not hard to imagine that if your hands were made out of metal and couldn't feel pain, that it would be way easier to punch through even thicker walls than the ones seen in-game. Overall, the technologies used in the arm augments and the functionalities they provide are accessible right now in the real world, and someone could realistically recreate them if they really wanted to, which will land this augment in the surprising category of already exists. And we're done. That was the last one. The last augment for Deus Ex Human Revolution, at least. We still have Mankind Divided to analyze, but that will have to be a video for another day. So, how realistic is Deus Ex Human Revolution percentage-wise? The whole reason why we made this video, the conclusion to this saga. Well, turning the categories into a pie chart, we can see the percentage that each of the augments take up. For the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna count the first two tiers as equally realistic, while the rest will be considered equally unrealistic, leading to the answer that we all came to this video for. Deus Ex Human Revolution's realism ranking is 52.38% realistic, which is way better than I would have expected the Cyberpunk game to be, especially since most of the stuff seen in-game does seem extremely sci-fi. Once again though, thank you all for watching this video all the way to the end, and if you enjoyed the video I strongly recommend you subscribe and leave a like, as well as your opinion on the video and how I could improve, since this is a very extremely new thing for me. And if you're watching this in the future, you might enjoy one of the videos currently on screen. Maybe you can click one of them. So what are you waiting for? Click one. And finally, to my long-time subscribers, thank you for staying subscribed all of these years. I think I'm actually back. At least for a little while. I do have a couple more videos planned. It was a damn Conan Exiles tutorial. When I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. That the goddamn video actually reinfected me with a content creation virus and I just could not ignore it. But enough with the life updates. Let's go ahead and click another video. What are you waiting here? What are you doing here? Go, leave. Click one of the videos. Watch another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.